Merhabalar, aramızda Türk konuklarımız da var. O yüzden Türkçe'de konuşacağım. Hoş geldiniz. İkinci Uluslararası İletişim, Dijitalleşme ve Toplum Sempozyumu'na. Biz burada 4. session'ı yapacağız. Şu anda ben Oturum Başkanı Doçent Doktor Ayten ÖVÜR. Konumuz da dijitalleşme ve haber olacak. Welcome to Second International Communication, Digitalization and Society Symposium. Now we are in the session 4, and our subject is digitalization and news. And we will start with Cassandra Constance Casillamburu. Can you start your presentation?
Right.
Actually, it is not necessary to share anything. You can just talk. But if you have anything, okay, no problem. But you can start your presentation also.
All right. Okay, so my study is basically based on social media, specifically Twitter, which is now called X, and it focuses on how Twitter has now become a political battlefield in Zimbabwe. So the supporters of the Zimbabwean government and ruling party practice what is known as kurakasha, which translates to thrashing or administering a thorough beating or otherwise disciplining and punishing in focal terms. And this is done through persistent trolling, critiquing, questioning, challenging oppositional messaging on Twitter in an effort to defend the ruling government and maintain status quo. So varakashi is actually a word in the Zimbabwean Shona language which translates to thrashers. And these varakashi are given a name. It's a name of the online government army in Zimbabwe that is used to defend the status quo and to suppress oppositional voices on Twitter, online. So this whole idea of thrashing opponents on social media was actually given by the Zimbabwean president at a campaign rally in 2018. And he actually implored his supporters, his youth supporters, to actually go and defeat their opponents on social media. So he actually told them to go and start this violence on social media. The paper actually examined the Twitter behaviors of these thrashers, the Varakashi, and the whole phenomenon of how they thrash on the social media platform, including the expressive forms and dimensions. The Varakashi phenomenon is very interesting for so many reasons because it was born on social media, specifically Twitter, and it is found exclusively on social media. It does have effects beyond social media, though, as the study actually established. So the study analyzes the social media activities of this Varakashi, the online government army, to gain a deeper understanding of how the Zimbabwean government is actually attempting to suppress the opposition on social media. So the study is actually one of an emerging category and phenomenon of political contestations and political communication, which is taking place in the cybersphere and the online public sphere. So the following were my research questions. I aimed to discover the political, ideological, and all of the features and strategies of the Varakashi messaging on Twitter. And I aimed to examine the role of significance of the Varakashi army in the post-Mugabe. Mugabe is the late and former Zimbabwean president. So I aimed to actually examine the role and significance of this Varakashi in post-Mugabe Zimbabwean political discourse. And I also aimed to establish how effective the strategies of the Varakashi were to discipline and punish their opponents on Twitter. I also aimed to investigate how this Varakashi army compares with the observed global patterns in how pro-government forces now use social media to save the status quo, oppress and suppress the opposition. And I've actually seen examples of how other governments have been doing this. For instance, in Saudi Arabia, where in 2018, there was also an online army that's similar to this Varakashi in Zimbabwe. The Saudi Arabian online army was called the Flies, and it did the same thing that the Varakashi are doing. So basically, I used this to compare how the Varakashi fit within the global observed patterns. The chief target of the Varakashi on Twitter included the leader of the main opposition party in Zimbabwe, which is called Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC. And this behavior suggests that they actually regard the main opposition leader as the government or ruling party's chief enemy. And aside from the opposition leader, their other targets included any opposition politicians, members, supporters, sympathizers, and basically anyone who was anti-government or anti the ruling party, ZANU-PF. So I found that social media has become a double-edged sword. On the one hand, social media brought about new opportunities for shaping and controlling narratives. It brought about opportunities for people to protest, to speak up and express their views and themselves. But then I look at how governments are actually now using social media as a weapon to regulate, to curtail, and to weaponizing it against oppositional movements and political activists. And the Zimbabwean government is known to be violent, even offline, but then now they're taking this violence to the online sphere, to the social media sphere, which is quite interesting. And like I did say, so most studies focused on democratic participation and on like civic participation of social media, but I focus on the opposite, where I look at how social media is actually now being used to speak truth to power instead of, I focus on how social media is being used to prevent truth from being spoken, instead of how social media has normally been used to speak truth to power. So it's basically a shift when it comes to political communication and social media. So I utilized the theory of governmentality by Michel Foucault, which helps to understand how the government works. Foucault says that governmentality is the art of governance. It is the rationale or the art of governance, and it's about how governing functions as an art and how it is thought as a rationality. So what the Varakashi Online Army are doing in Zimbabwe is actually a form of online governmentality, which I then modified and characterized as digitalization of governmentality, because I was looking at the art of governance of the Zimbabwean Online Army and their strategies and how they're doing it in an African and post-colonial context on social media. So digital technologies have become popular apparatuses and weapons that are being abused by repressive governments to exert their authority in order to control, normalize, and shape people's conduct, in order to govern in general. The methodology I utilized was qualitative online research, because then I had to use digital ethnography, where I went on the Twitter sphere and I had to observe what was happening, what the Varakashi were doing, and how they were suppressing opposition on the Twitter sphere. So these are just the names of some of the Twitter handles that I followed of these so-called Varakashi, some of the members of the Zimbabwean Online Army. And so going on to their strategies and their art of governance, I found that the Varakashi discourses actually undermine and attack the opposition and any anti-government individuals in Zimbabwe, whilst they praise the government and the ruling party and the president. So they're trying to promote their own ideologies whilst they are undermining the opposition and suppressing their voices and using name-calling strategies, calling them terrorists, stupid, stooges, all of those names that are here, hypocrites, devils, hooligans, and so forth. So basically, they insult the opposition. They call them different names, and they call them toxic politicians, liars, and all of those things that came out were an attempt to dehumanize the opposition and to undermine the opposition, making them feel like they were useless, so that they wouldn't actually be able to compete with them even in the elections, because then they're too small and they're too foolish and stupid to compete with the ruling party. So it's basically just a way and strategy of sustaining the dictatorial system in Zimbabwe. It's a way of sustaining the status quo and making sure that the ruling party in Zimbabwe, which has been in power for the past 44 years, continues to rule.
Constance,
So
last
these are
5
just some
minutes.
of the tweets that, yes?
Last 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, thank you. So these are some of the tweets that I looked at, where this Varakashi, you can see the Twitter screenshots, and they were insulting the opposition members, calling them prostitutes, and so that they only think about sexual intercourse and nothing else. They don't even have brains and so forth. And then they were also calling the opposition president, this is in Shona, but it translates to the father of feces. They were calling him the father of feces, the brainless person, the brainless idiot, as dead as a dodo, and so forth. So I just have several tweets that I used, and the baboon president, for instance, and that the opposition is always staging fake actions and always lying and so forth. Whilst on the other hand, when it comes to the president himself, they say that the country is in safe hands. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now second is...
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Ve şimdi ikinci sunumumuza geçeceğiz. Nermin Alkan, Canan Dural Tasoji ya da Aslıhan Ardıç Çobaner. Hanginiz yapacaksınız acaba sunumu? Ona göre bir davet edeyim dedim. Bilemedim. Ya da birlikte yapmak istiyorsanız tabii ki olabilir. Sizi oturum sahibi yapayım. Hemen Canan hocama bir yapayım önce. Böylece sunum paylaşmak isterseniz paylaşabilirsiniz. Ortak oturum sahibi yaptım sizi. Nermin hocam sizi de yapayım. Bilmiyorum hanginiz paylaşacak. Sesiniz gelmedi henüz.
Hocam ben yapacağım sunumu. Nermin
Canan hocam siz misiniz?
Evet, selamlar, merhaba.
Tamam. Merhaba hocam, hoş geldiniz. Canan hocam sizi yaptım zaten ortak oturum sahibi. Varsa sunumunuz paylaşabilirsiniz ekrandan. Yoksa da böyle de anlatabilirsiniz.
Tamam.
Geliyor şu anda. Geldi hocam. Exploring the perception and experiences of the public on HPB and Women's Human Rights Through Social Listening in Turkey başlıklı sunumunu yapacak hocamız şimdi. Buyurun hocam.
Teşekkürler. Hello everybody. We are in Mersin now in Turkey and it's very hot in Mersin now. And now we are ready to start the presentation. Yes, here it's... sorry. Yeah. I want to start with the definition of social listening and its relevance in understanding public opinion, first of all. Social listening involves tracking mentions, keywords, and trends related to specific topics or themes to gain insights into public opinions and behaviors, as well as emerging issues, thereby assisting organizations in making informed decisions and engaging with their audience more effectively. Sorry. Social listening is an engaged practice that entails actively paying attention to, focusing on, observing and interpreting, analyzing and responding to a diverse range of conversations and discussions across various social media platforms, forums, blogs, and other digital channels. So what we can say about social listening and its relevance in understanding public opinion is that social listening not only monitors public attitudes on various issues, but also assesses the dissemination, public engagement, and responses to these opinions. After we define the social listening, now we can talk about its relevance in understanding public opinion. Social listening is relevant in understanding public opinion because, first of all, it provides real-time insight into ongoing conversation. Then it helps identifying whether discussions are positive, negative, or neutral. Also, it identifies trends and patterns in public opinion over time. Again, social listening enables audience segmentation based on demographics and interest. Social listening identifies influential individuals or groups within online discussions. Social listening is relevant in understanding public opinion because it facilitates crisis management by detecting and responding to negative emotions or emerging issues. It helps understand how products and brands are perceived by public. It informs policy development and advocacy efforts by providing insights into public attitudes and concerns, and this is the most relevant factor with our study. And when coming to our study, in this study, we aim to gain a comprehensive understanding of public opinion on HPV in Turkey. We want to utilize social listening techniques to track conversations on social media platforms. We want to reveal prevalent attitudes, concerns, and perceptions surrounding HPV within the online space. And we also want to investigate the role of social listening in analyzing discourse regarding HPV and especially women's human rights. We want to elucidate the women's perceptions and experiences concerning HPV and HPV-related discussions. And lastly, we want to explore the implications of these discussions for women's human rights in Turkey especially. And now I want to tell something about our methodology in this study. First of all, we gathered all publicly available posts related keywords HPV on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram from accounts selected from Turkey between January 1st and December 31st for the year 2023. Then the collected data underwent thematic analysis to uncover emerging patterns, trends, themes, and meanings within the dataset. After conducting the analysis, we identified about 20 main themes, each with several associated sub-themes. To facilitate a comprehensive discussion in this presentation, we have selected only 5 of these main themes and their respective sub-themes. Additionally, we have opted to use only Twitter to showcase some example posts for this presentation especially. Now, when coming to findings, as I said before, we have 5 main themes only for this presentation, and here is the first one. Our first main theme is state responsibility. After we gathering the data, we apply the theme analysis, and these themes is the result of the analysis, and this is the first one, state responsibility. What does it mean, state responsibility? According to our study, is the HPV vaccine should be mandated and the state should offer it free of charge. Criticism is directed at the Ministry of Health and other public authorities for their failure to adopt health policies and protect public health in response to societal demands regarding the HPV vaccine. Here is one of an example post from Twitter, and it explains that there are many kinds of cancer, and the HPV vaccine can protect people from suffering about 7 types of cancer. So, especially the national school program, national education program, the vaccines should be free of charge, it says. The sub-themes of the first main theme, the state responsibility, is the financing and the HPV vaccine financing the HPV vaccine, it means it was emphasized that the Ministry of Health should provide the vaccine either free of charge or at a low cost at last. Disruption in health policies is another sub-theme, and it means criticism arises due to the Ministry of Health failure to fulfill its promise of providing the vaccine free of charge. The third sub-theme is public access to reliable information, because reliable information is very, very important to, according to this information. Criticism is directed at the Ministry of Health again for failing to fulfill its responsibility of ensuring public access to reliable information about the disease and vaccine. And the last sub-theme for the first main theme is inequality in health policies. Criticism arises from the call for the inclusion of the HPV vaccine in the National School Vaccination Program, along with the demand for it to be provided free of charge. This highlights the problem of unequal access to health services and the financial barriers to vaccine access. And we can go on with the second main theme. It is trust in the health system and vaccine safety. It means trust within the healthcare systems and the safety concerns associated with vaccine. You can see two different example posts here, and in this post, the public people ask if the vaccines are trusty or not. So it is still a big problem. It's still a big question if we can trust this type of health system or not about the vaccine safety. And also, this is another post you can see in the presentation.
Your last 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. And another sub-theme of the second main theme, problem of trust in the health system, I mentioned vaccine distrust and side effects, because especially in pandemic days, we had our vaccines, and from now on, we say that there are a lot of side effects, and this is the same in this disease. Questioning scientific and medical claims, if they're right or wrong. And also another sub-theme is anti-vaccination and neutral treatment options. The third main theme is gender equality, and it emphasizes that the HPV vaccine should be provided free of charge, not only to women, but also to men, ensuring equal access to prevention and treatment services for both genders regarding HPV-related health risks is crucial for promoting gender equality in healthcare. And another example post you can see, he is a doctor and says, I have at least 3 people to operate, and the diseases are related HPV, unfortunately, and they are men. And HPV in men and the lack of attention to women's health is another sub-theme, and also you can see the post, and it is written, state should pay our vaccine, or state should add this vaccine program to state health program, because it's very important to protect not only women but also men against HPV. Our fourth main theme is HPV and health awareness. Criticisms regarding the inadequacy of health awareness and education in society regarding issues such as the sexual transmission of HPV and the necessity of administering the HPV vaccine to children, the importance of efforts to inform and raise awareness about HPV virus, test and vaccine is emphasized. And these are the sub-themes: educational awareness and combating misinformation, and can be seen also in the example post right in here. This is about misinformation, and it says state should correct misinformation about the HPV. And our last main theme, this is personal responsibility and taking precaution, and it is about what can we do personally to protect ourselves. For example, it's in the example post, you can see some of the examples of precautions that we can take for ourselves. And the last sub-theme for HPV health awareness is vaccine awareness. Again, and we have an example post, and this vaccine awareness is the same in HPV as the other diseases. When coming to conclusion, I hope I have 2 more minutes. The collective voice of public opinion resound with urgency regarding HPV and its implication for public health. From the imperative of state responsibility in financing and distributing the HPV vaccine to the crucial need for trust in the healthcare system and vaccine safety, these sentiments underscore a call to action. Gender equality in HPV prevention and treatment is not just a demand, but a fundamental right, as is the necessity for robust health awareness efforts to combat misinformation. And as a last word, finally, the resounding message of personal responsibility resonates, urging individuals to take proactive steps, including vaccination, in safeguarding their health. Thank you for your attention, and we are ready to answer your questions.
We will take questions at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we'll continue with Tamaki. I will give you the permission. Okay, Tamaki, you can share your presentation. First, you have to open your microphone. Tamaki. I cannot hear you. You should open the microphone. Microphone.
Do you hear me?
Yes, now yes.
First of all, I share the screen already, right?
Okay, you can share. I gave you permission.
You hear the screen on my presentation?
I can hear you, but we cannot see any presentation right now, I guess.
Cannot see presentation. So I have to share screen.
Yeah.
Share screen already. What to be next? This
Okay.
one, you hear me?
Yes.
You see
Yeah.
the
Yes,
presentation?
now we can see. Please start maximum 15 minutes, please. 15.
Yes. My name is Dr. Tamakit from Thailand, and at the moment, it's at nighttime here in Southeast Asia. If there is communication problem, either from technology, distance, language barrier, or my ability to convey the meaning, I would apologize. The topic today, proliferation of fake news, hate speech, causing chaos, a case study of Thailand. Fake news and hate speech, two categories of negative message, are responsible for the most significant problems in online communication in Thailand. Locally, it is referred to as online pollutant. Fake news, according to this research, is 4 categories of information that include false, incorrect, ambiguous, and one-sided. Hate speech is defined here as communication expressions of hatred, towards individuals or groups, aiming at collective identity of a group, whether inherent or acquired, such as ethnicity, skin color, gender, sexuality, to foster division of violence with the intention of eliminating these individuals or groups from social spaces. Sometimes your behavior inflicts emotional pain and lead to incitement that could escalate into violence. Fake news and hate speech, absolutely, they both fundamentally different, but they both constitute negative online communication and are of great concern in Thailand. You can see from this figure, 500 million messages, found in, 1 year, but only 14,000 cases, were responded to, verified, and publicly announced with correct information by authorities. It is overwhelming. It is outpaced problem management. And 20 million Thai individuals, from the whole population of 65 million, we are not a big country, 65 million, but 20 millions, participate in spreading fake news. Here is why this problem severely affects Thailand. I mentioned here, there are, wide variety of reasons, behind this big problem. Apart from the 7 points mentioned on the screen, I think the advent of AI also makes it more difficult for the public to differentiate fake news and general information. I would like to take you to research questions. Why? There have been efforts to mobilize resources from state, private, and civil society to address the issue, mostly using legal measures and expert perspectives. It appears that the problems, still there. This research attempts to understand the issue further, starting from the perspective of young people who are predominantly using online media. So the research question include the first: how do the behaviors, attitudes, perspectives, response patterns to the two online pollutants of young people? The second one, what types and levels of violence are present in the dissemination of fake news and hate speech through online media in Thailand? And the third one, what are alternative approaches to addressing the problem of fake news, hate speech in the context of Thailand? There are a wide variety of solutions, but is there any alternative one, in seeing, in investigating, in addressing the problem? I applied 3 methodologies in this study. The first one is content analysis. I will show you the online media that, is the, sampling in this study. 2 websites dedicated to combating fake news, Anti-Fake News Center Thailand, and also other 2 mass media outlets. The first one we call Thairat, which is the most popular, news outlet in Thailand. And the other one is the one that provide quality news. Also 5 Facebook pages, at least, 500,000 followers, you know. And also the discussion web board, you know. All of these platforms, you know, will be investigated, you know. I will collect data, you know, from all of the media outlets I just mentioned. Survey research, you know, respondents are 400 individuals, you know, and also interviews, you know, conducted with heavy online user, you know, using purposive sampling. This is the example of the media outlets I just mentioned. This is quality news outlets. We call it Matichon Online. This is the most popular, you know, news outlet in this country, you know, and it is sensational news, you know, mostly about sensational news. And this the web board, you know, discussion web board. And this is a Facebook page. You know, you see the followers, you know, 7.4 million. But key points, you know, from results and discussion, you know, the types of fake news content, you know, the highest number belongs to the category of ambiguous information, as you may see, you know. Absolutely, it is difficult, you know, sometimes to classify between the false, but we try to, you know, put it according to, you know, the content. Regarding underlying objective of disseminations, it was found that fake news related to business, commerce, advertising, including financial scams, you know, amounted to more than 3,000 items, accounting, you know, 80%, you know, the most, you know. Through a survey conducted on leading online news media outlets in the country, the two media outlets I just mentioned, just 3 months period, it was found that there were as many as of 3,390 instances of clickbait. This is the example, you know, the one in the circle, you know, is clickbait, you know, mixed with the news content. Out of instances of hate speech found totaling, you know, 285 times. I use the word times here. I want to make it clear, you know, in one article, if it mentioned hate speech 2 times, you know, we count 2, no, not 1, you know, in one article, if we see two places mentioned, you know. And it was discovered that content related to beliefs, ideologies, political views amounted, you know, 89 times, accounting for 31%, you know. That is the most in terms of levels of severity of hate speech, you know, from the least severity to the most, you know, you see here, you know, it was found that unintentional discrimination occurred 255 times, accounting mostly, you know, the most number 1, 89.5%. This is the most concerned point, you know, when countering fake news and hate speech in online media. You know, 203 research respondents, you know, 50%, read and view content, but take no further actions to help solve the problem. Only 2%, notify platform or relevant authorities. This research identifies two critical issues affecting Thai society. The first one here, the toxicity of online media has intensified divisions of political beliefs, ideologies existing within Thai society, leading to political crisis. Political conflict has persisted since before 2006 coup, primarily between the yellow shirt conservatives who advocate for preserving the status quo and supporting the three pillars, nation, religion, monarchy, and the red shirt progressive who seek change and oppose perceived elite-supported coup. This division manifested in various forms, from family rift to regional tension, such as between the South, the South is the yellow shirt base, and the less developed Northeast, red shirt stronghold. The culmination of conflict led to the most recent coup in Thailand in the year 2014.
Last 5 minutes.
Okay. As reviewed in this research survey, the most common type of hate speech found was content related to political ideologies, beliefs. These online communication pollutants have exacerbated these conflicts. Up until now, derogatory terms like buffalo, salim, have been used to demean opposing groups. Apart from harm caused by online deception, the second point, apart from online caused by online deception, Thailand also faces significant issues of clickbait advertisement, even on mainstream media platforms, where clickbait titles are indistinguishable from actual news headlines. Over the 3 months period, I just mentioned, leading news outlet, had more than 3,000, instances of clickbait. Compared to the whole fake news, 4,260. So, it is, a big part of fake news. Of grave concern is that clickbait is not related as fake news. As per Ministry of Digital Economy and Society, the primary governmental body tasked with combating fake news dissemination in this country. Okay, I'm going to move to the last topic, alternative approach to address the problem. It necessitates a shift in perspective and approach from grassroots levels, leveraging the strengths of Thailand's strong grassroots communities and engaging these networks to tackle the problems is critical. This approach has been successful in addressing major economic crises like Tom Yam Kung, economic crisis, in 1997. That one is a big one, This is in line with Pravet Wasi and Robert Putnam, who emphasize the importance of strong communities as social capital, to heal social problems. Additionally, it also involves mobilizing the youth who are predominantly active online through crowdsourcing, encouraging their participation in filtering and reporting the spreading of inappropriate messages. This ensures sustainable problem-solving processes that resonate with true context of Thai society. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. And now, Marta Musso Hill, I'm giving you permission. Yes. Yes, Marta, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and we can hear you, just we cannot see you.
Okay.
Maybe you can open your camera.
Yeah.
And you can share your presentation if you want.
Yes, may okay.
Yes, Marta Musso, your presentation name is it fine? Internet memes on the propagation of fake news on Twitter in Russia and Ukraine war. Right. And now we are waiting for you. Is that you? No. Okay.
Oh my.
Is that you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We can see, and you can share your presentation if you want, or just you can talk, no problem.
I will share it.
Okay, you try, please.
Yes, can you see me?
We can see, we can hear, everything is fine. Please, you can start. You have 15 minutes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, my name is Martha Msohile of the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies, Eastern Mediterranean University, Famagusta, North Cyprus. I'm currently on holidays and I'm home in Nigeria, although I'm schooling in Cyprus. The topic of our study is it fine? Internet memes on the propagation of fake news on Twitter in Russia and Ukraine wars. Now, fake news has become a major concern following the emergence of the internet and social platforms of Twitters, Facebooks, and WhatsApp. We have observed that fake news have been there as far back as 1925, as argued by Baumer 2017. But however, fake news got more prominent during the US presidential elections of 2016. Now, fake news, as I have stated earlier, has been widespread and used mainly by people who are on social media platforms. According to Wang 2022, the use of social media is often diffused by young people who are also vulnerable to the acceptance and belief of negative news, which is also called fake news. And fake news is now rampant the world over. In every nation, it is observed that fake news gains prominence. Now, during the Russian-Ukraine war, the last war, the most recent one, we observed that most fake pictures and images were circulated on Twitter to escalate the war. And it is from this perspective that this study chooses to investigate how these digital images affect the spread of fake news on Twitter concerning the Russian-Ukraine war. Now, the study is guided by these objectives. The first one is to find out if fake internet memes were used on Twitter as an attack tool. The second objective is to find out whether internet memes on Twitter were used as a platform for sharing fake news. We also investigated whether internet memes used on Twitter were for deceptive purposes. That is for a poor prank. The fourth objective has to do with whether internet memes on Twitter were used to shift the actual cause of the crisis to derail people from the actual issues concerning the crisis. Now, the theories we adopted for this study are two. We use the media determinism theory and the visual rhetoric theory. The media determinism theory was originally, as argued by Yao 2020, propounded by Harold Innes and Marshall McLuhan. It was originally called media determinism, but was later developed and renamed technological determinism theory by some scholars, as mentioned here. The theory argues that that humans are responsible for constructing technology, and technology in turn determines social relationship, political relationship, and economic relationships. McLuhan, who is attributed to have propounded the media determinism theory, holds that the medium itself is in the message that is conveyed, and the message creates a symbiotic relationship in which the medium influences how the message is disseminated. This also goes to show that media technology impacts and influences the society's political, social, and cultural systems. Now, the media determinism theory does not have opponents. There were people who argued against the theory, and these people claim that the media determinism theory is overly straightforward. They contend that audiences should be the determining factor in media determinism and not the medium, as speculated by the theory. Now, this theory is important to our study because its hypotheses aid our understanding of how social media applications can influence people's engagement in the society. The new media technology serves as a platform on which fake news is shared and believed by the people, by the public. As such, we find it very important for this study. The second theory that was adopted for this study is the visual rhetoric theory. And it argues that people tend to believe images more that pictures do not lie. And so for whatever picture there is on the internet, it means there is some level of truthfulness in such a picture. And so we also use this theory to examine how, even though there were fake images on the Russian-Ukraine war, but people tend to believe such, as argued by the visual rhetoric theorists. Now, the methodology adopted for this study is the qualitative research method. We adopted semiotic analysis and then qualitative content analysis to examine the internet memes that were used to propagate fake news about Russian and Ukrainian war on Twitter. And of course, we got to know that we apart from the pictures we picked, there were captions, there were write-ups, there were words, that were used to explain the content of those pictures, those fake pictures that were used. And we took note of 10 internet memes that were considered for this study. 8 pictures were chosen for the analysis using purposive sampling technique. In the course of our investigation, we got to know that many fake pictures were used during this, the most recent Russia-Ukrainian war. One of it is this particular picture, and it was shared on Twitter with the caption, "The US imperial prophecy has finally come true, and Putin, the great Russian, has still attacked Ukraine." Well, the words may have been written by the reporter to push home a point. But then this picture that was shown is an old picture that was taken during the explosion in Beirut since 2020. We found that this picture made rounds. People shared it so much on Twitter, and most of them tend to believe it, that yes, this was actually what happened. Now, based on this picture, for instance, this study argues that most people take home misleading information, fake news, believing that they are true. And for most social media users, they hardly fact-check their sources or the truthfulness of what they are sharing. They don't just believe, they also share. And this in turn, makes the fake pictures to go viral. We also have another one here. Now, this is a picture of a military parade fly past of 2020. Now, the aircraft in this picture shows the military preparation for a parade. But then we saw that this also made rounds on Twitter during the Russian-Ukraine war to depict the scene of the Russian-Ukraine war, rather than that military parade fly past of 2020. We took this to BBC for fact finding, and we found that the picture here has nothing to do with the Russian-Ukrainian war of, that is the most recent one. And we got,
Last
Sorry?
5 minutes, Marta. 5 minutes more. No,
Okay.
last. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, this is another picture that was also, collected. We discovered also made rounds, showing a man hoisting the flag, and it was purposively said to have been a Russian troop who was hoisting this flag. This has nothing to do, the fact of this picture shows that the image is also from 2014. That is about 10 years ago picture that was reflected here. Now, this is another one. This one also is of an aircraft that was taking part in Victory Day celebrations, and was again, showcased during the Ukraine-Russian war, maybe to push home a misleading information for people to believe and share. Now, based on our findings, we got to know that a lot of fake internet memes were used on Twitter. They were believed, they were shared by most people. In fact, most people of the young age. The findings showed that these internet memes also serve as a platform for a poor prank. It's a way of deceiving people to believe what is false. And so based on our findings, we concluded that the use of social media in spreading fake digital images in times of war like this should not be relied upon, but that people should adopt fact-checking platforms to authenticate the credibility of the information they are assimilating, the information they have seen, the kind of things they are exposed to. And I think so far so good. That is it. Thank you so very much for listening.
Thank you very much to everyone. Now we can take the questions. Is there any question to any participant? Tamaki, please open your voice. We cannot hear you if you have a question. I guess
Yes, if you allow me to ask,
Yes.
I would do so with the question to Marta. From beginning of the war, between the two countries, Ukraine and Russia,
Yes.
in using media, new media platforms, social medias, which countries, employ, more tactics and successfully, which country has the upper hand?
I didn't hear you clearly.
Yes. I mean, between the two countries in this war,
Yes.
Ukraine and Russia,
Yeah.
in using social media's platform, in order to launch, the psychological war, how they do that and which countries, got the upper hand.
Well, if I got you clearly, you asked which of the two countries between Ukraine and Russia made more use of such fake memes. Well, I would say, since that was not my major concern, I wasn't looking out for which country used more of such. My concern was on the Twitter the tweets, the fake images that were shared on Twitter. I didn't pay attention to which of the countries made more use of such fake memes.
Okay, thank you. And any more questions to anyone? I guess no. If there is not, I will close the session. Is it okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Then thank you very much.
Thank you, Hojam.
Thank you. And I hope to see you next year, maybe. Okay, I'm closing the session and see you later.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanking the host. Thanking everyone.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.